something happening here.
How you doing, folks? Welcome back to Rivendell Farm. Thanks for tuning in and watching. One of the things we do here is maple syrup. I run about 25 or 30 taps a year here on the property that we live on, which is separate from the homestead. The homestead's about 14 miles away to the south here. I'm not set up to do maple syrup there, but I am set up to do it here. When I get down there, I can probably run 100, 150 taps pretty easy. Then it becomes a commercial operation. Right now it's not a commercial operation. I'm doing it as a hobby. One of the reasons I like to do maple syrup is because doing maple syrup in the springtime is one of my favorite childhood memories. When we were growing up on the farm in Webster, New Hampshire during the 1960s, we did maple syrup every spring, and it was a pretty big operation. I don't remember how many taps we were running, but it was pretty common for us to get 30 to 40 gallons of a sap a year, and we sold quite a bit of it, and we gave it to our friends and family, which is a nice part of it. It makes a wonderful gift. The stuff that we do, I got about 6 gallons last year, and last year was a good year. It came out really, really good. It was nice and thick and rich and dark, and it just had a wonderful taste, wonderful flavor and taste to it. We sell a little bit of it, and we keep some of it, and we give some of it away. And maple syrup to me is one of the blessings from God, because it's one of my favorite things in the whole world. Having pancakes with real maple syrup on it on a Sunday, a cold Sunday after church, that's one of life's little pleasures that I'm going to miss when I move on. Anyway, I should have had my buckets hung a week ago. But other things were getting in the way. I was setting up my workstation in the basement for growing my own seedlings, and I'll do a section on that. This is the first year we're doing our own seedlings for our garden. But anyway, it's been unseasonably warm this year, with the exception of 1 day, 2 days, about 10 days ago, we actually got down to 27 degrees below zero here. Today it's an unseasonably cold 17 degrees. Typically it's hovering around freezing this time of year, and with the occasional spurts up into the 40s and 50s. And that's what makes for good maple sugar season. When it gets down below freezing at night and then it warms up with sunshine, hopefully, to like over 40 degrees, that really starts the trees to pump in the sap, which we make the maple syrup out of. Anyway, like I said, I should have had my buckets hung last week, but other things were getting in the way. I'm getting them out of the shed now and trying to find everything. The buckets are in one place, the tin lids are in another. That's another thing. I do it the old-fashioned way. I like to use the old galvanized buckets with the old tin lids, because I think personally the aesthetics of that are beautiful. It brings back memories of those old courier knives, engravings and pictures we're all familiar with of the maple sugaring operations on the old farms. Personally, I think the modern way of doing it with the vacuum systems and the 500-gallon collection tank and the lines running from tree to tree, I think that's unsightly. I don't like looking at it when I'm going down the road. I think it's just my opinion. It's perverting something that's beautiful into a commercial operation. Something that, to me, I like doing things the old-fashioned way when I can, unless it makes sense to do otherwise. Anyway, that's just my opinion. You can like it or not. Anyway, I'm going to try to find my buckets. I got my buckets. I don't know where the tin lids are. And the spigots, I'm still not sure where those are. But I'll find them, and we'll get some buckets hung, and I'll show you how I do that.
What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I got to beware.
Okay, for those of you who are totally unfamiliar with how we do maple syrup and get the sap out of the tree, we use what we call a spigot. There's a modern spigot on the top that's made out of stainless steel. Much easier to use, much easier to clean at the end of the season and stuff like that. And then on the bottom is the old-fashioned cast type. I use both because the stainless ones are so expensive. I can pick up like the ones, you know, the old-fashioned cast ones on the bottom. They're made out of like a pot metal. You got to clean them really good every year, or they get bacteria in them, and that can taint the sap while it's waiting to be boiled. Now the ones on the top, the stainless steel ones, they're about $4 or $5 a piece at the local sap, you know, maple sugar and supply places around here. The ones on the bottom, the old-fashioned cast iron ones, I pick those up for 15 cents, 25 cents a piece sometimes at yard sales and stuff like that. So I've got a mix of both of them, and I use both. I just have to clean the old-fashioned ones a lot better. The top ones, you just throw them in a warm solution of water with a little bit of bleach in it, and you can call it done. So anyway, let's get to tapping. Okay, let's get some holes drilled. Actually, I already drilled the holes in this tree, but my smart camera decided to become stupid and shut off halfway through that, so I didn't realize it until after I was done with the video. So anyway, I use a 5/16 drill, which works for both the old-fashioned and the new ones that I'm using. Some spigots require different sizes. You just got to make sure it's a tight fit in there, you know, in the hole. Drilling the hole doesn't hurt the tree. Next spring, all that'll be left is just a little indentation. You know, it grows in pretty quick after you pull the tap out, so it doesn't hurt the tree. It hurts the tree's value if it was going to be used. You know, it's useless for veneer, which is what maple is used for a lot. But you know, I don't care. I'm making maple syrup, not veneer. So drill the holes. I drill the holes about 2.5 inches deep. Make sure all the shavings from the drill are out of the hole, because they could potentially clog up the spigot if you don't have it nice and clean. So then you drive the spigot in. You don't drive it in too hard, just enough to seat it. And you know, so it won't fall out. Just a couple of taps like that. You hang the bucket. Now, if it was a warm day, there'd be sap dripping out of that right away. It'd be like drip, 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 drip on a nice warm day when it's really pumping. And I think these are 2.5 gallon buckets. That seems about right. I looked it up last year. It might even be embossed on the bottom of the bucket. But anyway, on a good day, that bucket will fill right up. On a good day, when the sap is running good, in the middle of the season, the peak of the season, it'll fill that bucket right up. Okay, let's go do the other one. You notice the face on the tree. I kind of like that. I got that on a couple of my trees because it reminds me of one of my favorite books, The Lord of the Rings, the trilogy. The first book it talks about, and the second book, I believe. In fact, I think all three books, they make an appearance. The Ents, remember the Ents? So that's why I have that there. Make sure that hole is nice and clean. Get my spigot. Just a couple of taps, not tight. You want to be able to get it out in the springtime without cutting a tree down. That's all you need, just a couple taps. And put the lid on. The lid keeps the crap out, you know, like bird droppings and stuff that's falling off of the tree, things like that. Now, when it gets really warm, sometimes you get a problem with ants. Last year, towards the end of the season, when it was really warm out, when it was getting into the mid-50s during the last part of the season, I had a couple of trees that had ants coming up to get the sap, and I had to strain the ants out of the sap. Now, it doesn't hurt anything because the sap is boiled. I mean, it's boiled for a long time. The ratio is depending on the maple sugar, or depending on the sugar content in the sap in the maple tree. It takes anywhere from 40 to 32 gallons of sap to make 1 gallon of syrup. So it's getting boiled for a long time. So anything in there gets sanitized, and it gets strained and filtered, so none of that stuff makes it in there. But anyway, the stuff with the ants in it, I use that for our own personal stash, because I grew up on a farm. I was barefoot until I was 6 years old, so none of that stuff really bothers me. So anyway, that's that. I'll keep you posted on the progress. I've got about a dozen more trees to do. I don't think I'm going to do them today because it's starting to snow and the temperature's dropping. When I came out here, it was about 17 degrees. My hands are cold. I don't have to get it done today. I'm retired, so I'll do it tomorrow. It's supposed to be up in the high 30s tomorrow, maybe even to the 40s. So maybe the sap will start running. Okay, thanks for watching.
I think it's time we stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going